Okay, so now that we've learned the basics of sub-D modeling, what they are and how they work, now what we have to do is go ahead and start creating sub-D objects or sub-D based 3D objects for our scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open up a scene, and the scene we're going to open up is called start_scene. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And this is basically where we left off on volume 2 of this tutorial series, Production Instruction with Max 2010. Okay? Right now what we're going to do is we're going to work on some doorknobs, because you could see in the past couple of volumes we really haven't addressed that issue. So I was kind of waiting until we got around to sub-Ds to go ahead and create some doorknobs, because doorknobs usually have very curved type surfaces. They're very organic looking. So I'm going to select the front door here, and I'm going to isolate the selection because I'm going to work on the front doorknobs over here. Okay, so what kind of doorknobs are we going to create? Well, I'm going to go ahead and open up a reference image to show you. And here's my reference image. Let me go ahead and increase the size of this so it's a little bit more visible. Okay, so you can see here, this is just an image I picked off from the internet. There are about 101 million different styles of doorknobs in the world. So to kind of settle on one, it really depends on your taste and what you're going for, and also the look of the house that you're building. I went ahead and went with this because this looks very good for a main entrance to a pretty nice fancy type house. So this picture here shows us both sides or both sets of the doorknob. So it's a doorknob set, because this one here on the left is what the door handle looks like on the outside. Okay, so if you're walking into your friend's house, this is the door handle that would open the door, because here's the keyhole and everything. Okay, we're not going to be creating that because we're creating the inside set of the door. So the inside set is the one on the right, this one right here. So if I zoom in on it, you'll see it kind of has this very elongated oval type shape. It's got like a little latch up here for when you lock the door. And then the bottom here is the actual door handle itself. So it's pretty interesting. So it's pretty interesting shapes. Just using straight up polygon techniques that we've used before are not going to be enough to get this to look the way that we need it to. So we're going to be using sub-Ds to get this done. Okay, so let me go ahead and kind of resize this a bit so it's easier to see. Okay, so this is how we're going to do this. I'm going to start off with a simple box. I'm going to make sure I go to the Creation tab, and I want to make sure that I'm using the geometry mode here and I'm in standard primitives. I'm going to go ahead and select box. Okay, but when I do that, something that's very important that I haven't talked about before, and I'm going to point it out now, is this auto grid feature up here, which is off by default. I just turned it on right now. That's what you want to do. You want to turn it on. What this allows you to do is to automatically create objects on top of the surface of other objects that are already in your scene. So since there's a door already in my scene, I'll take advantage of that to go ahead and draw a box right on the surface of my door. As you can see, it placed it right on top, which is excellent and a very time-saving, great tool to use just to get simple things like that done a little bit easier and faster. Okay? So once I have my box done, what I'll do is I'll simply convert it to an editable poly, and now I have the base mesh that I need to go ahead and start to create the piece of geometry I need to create the door handle piece right here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get this big flat oval shape that's back there. So based on the image, and I don't have multiple images, I just have that one image, I'm going to go ahead and go with something about like this. So I'm going to make a very thin type box. Also, there's a polygon on the back side which I'm going to have to get rid of. I'm going to toggle the NURBS on. So if you remember from previous videos, you go to the quad menu and you go to NURBS toggle, turn that on, and then you automatically have this kind of subdivision mode turned on. Okay. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to go to the, let me close all of these rollouts. And I'm going to go to the subdivision surface rollout here. And I'm going to give this maybe about 3 iterations so it's nice and smooth. See that? Okay. If I were to take the polygon here and move this, we end up with something that looks kind of like a very long egg. That's no good. What we want to do is we want to go ahead and get rid of that polygon that's in the back. So I'll do that very easily, simply by deleting it. And now the back part is kind of flat, and it looks like it's hooked up to the door, which is exactly what we want. So I'm going to bring this polygon here, closer to that back one, about right there. That's going to work out pretty good. Okay, next thing I want to do is I want to go to edge mode, and I'm going to select this edge here, and I'm going to go to my ring tool here. I'm going to select the ring of edges right there, and what I want to do is I want to use the connect options, and I want to make about, let's see, I think about 3 segments is going to be good, and I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to go to Vertex Mode, and I'm going to take all the top and bottom vertices, and I'm going to use the scale tool, and I'm going to scale them in to give the top and bottom a narrower shape. See that? Now it's much more narrow, much skinnier at the top, which is what we need to get more of the shape that we need, okay? But you can see it, I don't quite have the shape that I need just yet, so I'm going to scale these sets of edge vertices right here. Okay? I'm going to take the entire object and kind of scale it up a little bit. Maybe scale it in just a bit like that. I'm going to take the vertices, I'm going to take the top and bottom vertices, I'm going to scale them back out because I think that they're too skinny. So something like that. So basically just fiddle with it until you get basic overall shape that matches pretty close to the picture. It doesn't have to be exact, but as long as it's pretty close. Okay, now I'm going to go back to polygon mode. I'm going to make sure that all of these front polygons, if I take off NURBS toggle, these are front polygons, so I want to make sure that I select those right there. I'm going to go to the inset tool, make sure you go to the options, reduce the inset, and just give this thing a little bit of inset, something like this looks pretty good. Okay, so you've got this edge of polygons around the border right there, around that perimeter. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this out and move it to about maybe right here is pretty good. Yeah, it's not bad. I'm going to turn on NURBS toggle to see what I have. This is basically what I get right here. If I render that out, you can see what we have. We have that nice little shape detail right there, which is good. Okay, I'm going to turn off NURBS toggle. I'm going to take this edge that's right there and select its loop. And I'm going to use the chamfer tool, chamfer options, chamfer that down, and just give that thing a little bit of chamfer. And if I turn on NURBS toggle, you can see what the chamfer does. It just makes that a little bit sharper, more distinct right there, that shape. And if I add another segment, makes it even sharper. So I'm going to leave it with another segment, so 2 segments basically. Hit OK, and now this is what we end up with. Okay. Okay. Now what I'm going to do before I end this video is I'm going to create this little lock latch that's right here. Okay. Now the image is not the best, so it's a little bit hard to tell. There's very little distinction there and detail in the image. So I'm going to try to do my best to go ahead and create this. So I'm going to create a cylinder with auto grid turned on so I can create this right on top of this guy right here. Okay, so there's my cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and knock the sides down to about maybe 8. We don't need so many. Height segments down to 1. Okay, create it right on top of the object here. I'm going to go to wireframe mode, convert this thing to an editable poly, take the back polygon that we don't need and delete it. I'm going to turn on NURBS toggles to see what I'm working with here. I'm going to pull this into the object, and actually what I need to do is I need to align this better. So I'm going to make sure that the purple object, the latch piece, is selected. I'm going to go up to the align tool, and I'm going to select the yellow piece here, which is the base of the door handle, and XYZ is fine. I'll make sure that I select center and center. Hit OK. Now I'm going to kind of move this up, try to get into the position from the image. Move this out until it slightly penetrates into the yellow object. Okay. I'm going to go to polygon mode and select this polygon and pull it in because this piece I want it to be pretty narrow like that. And with that polygon selected, I'm going to hold down Control and click on the Edge Selection button over here in the Modify tab. That way it selects all the edges that belong to that polygon, so that now I can go ahead and use the Chamfer tool. And if I turn off NURBS toggle, you can see what I did right here. If you find that moving this little slider right here just changes in increments that are just too big, hold down the Alt key, and that allows you to make finer adjustments to that chamfer amount parameter right there. Okay, just hold down Alt and drag, and you should get more control over how you alter that parameter. So I'm going to turn on NURBS toggle, render that out. So there we go. It's a nice sharp edge. That's what I want. I'll hit OK, and I'm going to say that I'm happy with that. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is create the little actual lock piece here, or the little latch that you would actually grab and turn to lock the door. So to do that, it's going to be pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and grab myself another box, make sure auto grid is turned on, and I'm just going to draw a box on this guy. Like that. I'm going to align it, so I'm going to go to the Align tool, select the purple object, same options as before. Then I'm going to pull it out like this. I'm going to convert it to an editable poly and delete the back polygon, which I don't need. Now I'm just going to move this guy until it slightly penetrates into the purple object. Okay. Obviously, it can't look like it's floating in the air, and that's why we have to make it penetrate the object just a little tiny bit. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is turn on NURBS toggle on this guy. I'm going to go to Edge mode. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the polygon on this side, polygon on that side. If I go to wireframe, you can see what I have. I'm going to go ahead and hold down Control and select the Edge button over here so I can select the edges. What you want to do is deselect the back edges that are over here. Okay? Let me show you what I'm talking about. There's an actual edge back there. You want to make sure you deselect that one and the one on the other side. So when I chamfer this, you don't end up messing up the object, okay? So I'm going to hold down Alt and just slightly tune this. Maybe give it another segment. So something like this looks pretty good. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go to the Subdivision surface rollout here, and I'm going to add another iteration. Okay, so that's what we end up with, something like this. I'm going to go to Vertex Mode, select the front vertices on the top and bottom. Pull this out a little bit, something like that. Okay, I'm going to select the purple object. I'm going to go to Attach and attach the little latch piece to it. And I'm going to go to the Subdivision surface parameters here and give it maybe 2 iterations. And I end up with something like this. Okay, so the little lock latch is pretty much complete. I'm going to end this video here, and in the next one, we're going to create the actual handle pieces you can see here in the image. It's a little bit more complex than what we just did, but I'll show you how to go ahead and get that done.